You are now listening to Nexxlegacy Radio, a radio station for the people.
Being here is a privilege and a blessing, and with the guest that I have on tonight, I want to definitely welcome you all to this very, very special show. Now, before I actually put her on, let me just let everybody know this. This has been, in my lifetime, a long time coming because I'm a fan first. And knowing that this young lady actually has new music and getting a chance to reminisce off the past music, it's a blessing, and that I think everybody needs to understand and needs to know. When people put out music and their music is timeless, you need to do something if you have the power to do it, to be expressive and to be gracious to their God-given talent and their abilities and everything else that they've given you throughout the journey. And having the opportunity to talk to this young lady is going to be a lot of fun for me. And I want to welcome the Tony Award-winning, Grammy-nominated actress extraordinaire, Miss Melba Moore, who is here right beside me. Hello, beautiful. Welcome.
Hi. How are you? Thank you for having me. That's a very nice intro. Thank you so much.
Well, with all that's been said, Miss Moore, I gotta put on my fan hat first and tell you that
Okay.
you know what, you don't know me until now. This is the first time we had dialogue, but
Right.
I loved you and your music for so long. So it's only right that someone in my position can reach out to you and just say thank you. Thank you for the music that you put out when you first started your journey, and you're giving us new music now, and I'm very, very appreciative to all things that you've done career-wise and so on. So thank you. And I love you, Miss Moore.
Thank you for being a fan, and thank you for helping me get it out to the public. Thank you.
Absolutely. So you know what? I'm going to talk about the new music that you have, because Love Is available right now on iTunes. People can go in and search Melba Moore. You can go get it immediately right now. So with the new music that you have out right now, what made you come back to do music and to be able to put something new out for your longtime fans and for the new fans that's out there?
Well, it's what I do. I'm a singer. If you're a singer, you have to put out music. If you are a cook, you got to go get some vegetables and stir it up. It's that simple. It's not always that easy.
Right.
Because you deal with changing times, changing tastes, and whatever your talent is, it still has to fit into some kind of a commerce and business, and that's changed a lot. And so sometimes you have to make a lot of changes and adjustments and reinventations of your business and your talent so that you can fit into the system that exists now. For instance, 20 years ago, there was no iTunes.
Right.
And so it took some of us a minute to just, realize the social networking that exists now, the Internet, and get to be a part of that system. And I can't sit at the computer all day. I have to sing and do my work. So
right, you actually have a job to do, right?
Right. So I had to, and I'm speaking for everybody who's part of this, 21st century. Mm-hmm. You have to find some people that can help you and partner with you and form that team that can do the things that you can't do or
right.
Don't have time to do. So I have a really, really good partner by the name of Ron Richardson, and he's introduced me to Twitter and Facebook and MySpace and websites and the whole computer community that allows you to do whatever it is you're going to do, a great deal of it yourself, whereas before you really had to have a company because there was not the technology and there was not the direct ability there was not the ability to get to your audience directly. You had to go through a company. That's a huge change. Mm-hmm. And to get to manipulate and capture and control that mechanism takes some doing. That's one thing. The other thing is that a singer is the instrument.
Absolutely.
I can't push no buttons. I have to fine-tune this instrument every day, all day. I mean, something is a pleasure. It's not easy, and if you don't, and it changes,
Right.
just like everything else does. And of course, everybody's always very, very familiar with aging, and that to most people means things don't work anymore, and they get tired, or they don't function the way they used to. But I've discovered that that's not necessarily true with the body or with the voice. So you have to discover and rediscover and find out what's available to you now in terms of your temple or your body or your instrument that wasn't before, or maybe it was, but you didn't know it, or that knowledge just wasn't available. It wasn't in the ethos yet. So you got to keep your nose to the grindstone and find out what's going on with you and with your community and with the world, and you just have to have a passion for what you do. And I certainly do. I absolutely love singing and acting, and I love people, so it keeps me thinking, okay, well, what can you do now? I remember I ran into someone who's a wonderful jazz singer, and I was telling her that I'm getting ready to go to UK. She said, well, I'm not going to. I would like to go to places like that. And I just assumed that I knew her, but I never heard any of her records. She said, well, I never did records. You know what? I never heard of that. How can you be a singer and never do a record?
Wow.
I mean, I could understand if you never had gold or platinum records, but you never did a record?
Ms. Moore, is that sounds like you learning how to drive and knowing to drive, and you don't have a car, right? In some cases, or you saying you're a race car driver and you don't have a car to race, right?
Something similar to that. That don't go together. I mean, because you can get a car for free.
That's right.
Something has to be wrong with your being attentive to just your community, much less your music community. If you don't figure out, maybe I should just, even if I don't use it, if I don't need it, I should get a car and just learn how to drive, or get somebody's car and learn, and just know how to drive in case I want to. Forget if I need to. So I just found that very strange.
Melba Moore is our guest.
No wonder she's having difficulties staying in the public. But then she told me, well, I'm going to Japan next week. I said, well, wait a minute. She knows something I don't know, because I'm not going to Japan next week. So I don't know. It's a mystery to me, but...
That is very true. Melba Moore is our guest on Branded After Dark, and she also has a website, melbamoore.com, for all you people out there listening. Go ahead and check it out. The website is definitely beautiful. And also on Twitter, you can go to twitter.com/MelbaMoore1 and follow her on Twitter right now. And you mentioned just adjusting to the 2013 as opposed to, like you said, 20 years ago when there was no iTunes. What's been the biggest change for you as a singer in these life and times of how things are done with record labels and also reaching out to your fans?
Well, I would say even before that, like on a personal level, or not a personal, well, individual level, there was a change from in terms of entertainment, live entertainment, from live musicians to, because of the economies, even before we heard that there was, any trouble with our economy, places couldn't afford to pay for live musicians. And with the disco era coming in the for me in the late 70s and the 80s and going on through, we learned to work to track, and television work. You learn to lip sync and learn to work to track. And I don't remember how it occurred to me, except that I guess maybe there was a spillover, because I've been into a lot of the different arenas at the same time, that when people couldn't pay you enough to hire you with a band, I would suggest to them, well, we can do tracks. And they would do that, so I kept working. And then there came to be a change where people said, well, maybe it's because a lot of singers didn't really keep up their vocal expertise. They got to be, well, we don't really like track shows. It's not, in other words, I sensed that many singers just were standing there singing or lip singing, and so they didn't develop themselves as entertainers and realize people are looking at you.
Right.
And when you're lip syncing, you don't have to sing full out, so maybe you should strengthen your voice, and maybe sometimes you should sing without the voice on there. You know, and I don't know, just maybe a variety of experience that kind of make you have a common sense level to say you're entertaining. Why don't you sing live? Has brought me through a lot of changes that perhaps I can look back on and say, oh, this was a change, that was a change, this was a change, but I made them through. They weren't easy, but you made them through because you were always willing to strive and start fresh again, or you were always willing to, or knowledgeable that you had to keep up your instrument and that you were the instrument. And I noticed that over time, I mean, anybody who's known me for a long time can identify me by some kind of food, like either pistachio nuts or or fried chicken or pizza. And
I think about Melba more now. I think, first thought comes to mind. I don't know. I don't think it's fried chicken, though, but I get it.
Well, it ain't now. I tell you that. That kind of was my point. And I think one of the things that's happened, I can look at that as fashion or things that were popular or things that I liked at the time, but it's also the body is changing. I can't eat, fried chicken and ice cream like I did when I was 19, not only because I'm older, but because since my voice is my performing instrument, it's like being a football player. You can't live like you did when you weren't an athlete, and you have to learn what that requires. And so now I see that a lot of the reason why people lose their voices is sometimes it's purely diet. And so being able to keep up the instrument and sing constantly meant a disciplined regimen. If you figure out, oh, my God, I had coffee with milk in it. I thought the coffee was great, and it was great, but you can't take the milk.
That milk.
I mean, right? I've seen something like that because everybody knows singers cannot deal with dairy, because of the problems that we have so easily getting hoarse or laryngitis, and even it gets worse than that. It gets into bronchitis, pneumonia. It really gets very serious. So if you really want to be healthy, well, you can't afford to catch a cold. You learn these things, and then however difficult they are, your dietary regimen drastically changes. Now, I understand now from going through these changes that it's better for me to have a raw apple than to have blackberries. I can feel the difference on the throat. And that's just, the difference between putting, high-grade gasoline, I guess, into a fine car than putting, bad gas. I don't know anything about cars, I guess you can see that, but I do know about the voice.
You know enough about that to know that. Like, hey, you know what? I don't think I should put this regular grade gas into this 2013-14 vehicle or whatever. That makes sense.
And what I'm seeing is that this 2013 it's not 1980 for me, and yet I'm getting better.
And see that's the one question I gotta have. You see, so have you throughout your career, managed to do that? Because your voice just seems to get better and better. Listening to because I'm a major Melba Moore fan, so I got songs after songs from, a lot of what you've done over the years. And, I listened to this one, Love Is, millions of times since I got it off iTunes as well. And I'm like, okay, this woman has not changed. Not only that, I mean, you're gorgeous, too. Like, have you,
well, the same thing that makes you sick or well will retain your beauty, and your health. Well, I think athletic and healthy is pretty. So it helps you slow down the deterioration process or the aging process. Actually, slows it down.
So have you ever in your career had a couple of instances where, okay, well, I don't think I should have eaten that, and the vocals may have suffered throughout your, at one point in time in your career, or you pretty much just
several points. That's why I'm so adamant about it, because I felt like the food industry was like in a conspiracy to get us addicted to things and to poison us, and I'm not totally wrong, but I was out on a road tour of the Broadway production of Chicago. And on the plane, I forgot that I can't have dairy, and I had a grilled cheese sandwich. And about 2 days afterwards, I had no voice.
Oh, whoa!
I had to go to the the voice doctor, and he gave me I forget what you call it now, but it's just some kind of steroid. It's that strong.
Mm-hmm.
And then still, he couldn't guarantee that your voice would come back. You still have to not sing. But I was at the end of the tour, and I had some more singing to do, so I was able to get through it. But he only looked at my throat because he was a throat doctor, and he didn't examine anything else, and no one told me to do anything else. So that infection went down into my bronchial, and before a week had gone by, I was in so much pain in the back of my lungs, I had to go to emergency. It was all due to that. And they said it was a food allergy, but it had turned into an infection that could have been pleurisy, pneumonia, bronchitis. So I know from my own experience.
Wow. Wow, that is heavy.
The last time.
Right? Yeah, and you never again after that, right?
But I'd had many instances many years ago before that I just didn't know quite what it was. So, and usually medical doctors don't have that much knowledge about nutrition. They have more these days to tell you it's a food, to even tell you that's a food allergy. They just know that it's an infection and to give you some kind of a drug or medicine to treat the symptoms. But they can't tell you unless you go through all these very expensive what do you call it, allergy specialists, and then still sometimes, depending on what their specialty is, you might not know that that's what your problem is. But everybody knows singers can't do dairy.
Well,
everybody. And if they don't know it, I'm going to tell you. If you sing,
exactly, and they know now. They know now.
Yeah, so it was very, very, very hard lessons learned, and I've had pneumonia several times, 2 or 3 times, and I can promise you now, looking back, I can trace it back to some food that I was allergic to.
Wow. Melba Moore is our guest on Branded After Dark, and with music and your career being nominated for so many, having the nominations for your, a lot of the work that you've done, and also you receiving your Tony Award. You've also done Broadway. You've also been in movies. For all the hard-working women out there, I'm pretty sure, of course, even us men, I mean, we just want to know, how do you juggle your everyday life? Of course, you said earlier you have your team of people to kind of keep you balanced, but, I mean, when you start your day, like you don't have to tell me exactly what you do when the alarm rings at, 6, 7 o'clock in the morning, but, let the listeners know a little bit about just your work ethic. Like, do you get enough rest? Do you have, just let the people know a little bit.
Well, my work ethic is Jesus, and what I do is I wake up at about 5 a.m. I've now graduated to the point where I live in Jersey, but I go to church in New York, and I go every morning. I'm Catholic, so that means I receive all of the sacraments. I receive communion daily. That's my ritual. He truly, physically, and everywhere else is first. Now, I've been taking a car or a ride to the city, but now I walk up this little mountain first. I call it my little Zion. And I'm very devoted to the Virgin Mary because she brought us Jesus. You got to know how you got to know the pecking order of how things work, and I think in really meditating upon these things in the physical as well as a spiritual and a soulful way. You start to learn how your body works and what the connection is and what God is telling you and what order there is. And so that's the regimen first. So it means that I have a physical workout really the first part of the day before I'm really thinking. God takes over my mind and my body and my spirit and to tell me what he's thinking first. As he should. That's right. So, yes. So that's really the regimen. And then the rest of the day follows kind of out of that because I've had a nice brisk walk up a little mountain, and right now it's cold, so it's very brisk. I take my little vitamins, and I like apple juice because an apple a day keeps the doctor away, and I believe it does. It has certain vitamins and nutrients that are different than any other fruit. So, and I've stopped really drinking so much juice and eat the whole apple and drink more water. and take this walk up the hill slowly. I'm not running, but I probably will get to the point where I can run. So what happens is you're getting stamina every day, and you're getting it from the Holy Spirit every day. And so you start the day that way. I usually go to 3 services because I'm allowed to take communion as much as 3 times in one day. That means I have the live, living, real flesh and blood of Jesus 3 times a day in the morning before I even start my day.
Right.
So if that'll give you any idea where my power is coming from, it should also tell you that it's only beginning. This is only the tip of the iceberg. And I'm happy to tell people that if you may not be able to do what I have the luxury to do right now, and that is, actually go to church every day, every morning, but you can start your day off by the first thing you do is to, before you even really fully awake, give yourself into the hands of God, whatever your religion is, because He runs everything anyway. And if you don't know that He's there, ask Him, is He there? And He'll show you He is. You don't have to take my word for it. Ask my regimen, and the rest of the day comes out of that.
Miss Moore, giving the listeners out there as much game as possible, and that you come on, Hannah, how can you not take that to heart? So it means a lot to be able to get it from somebody such as yourself. Like I said, I mean, you can look at your body of work and you can see all that you've done and that you've accomplished and all the beautiful songs that you've blessed us with, and your legend is your legend. And again, the gratitude that I know us as fans have for you, because you're still doing it. You're still giving us the nice, the timeless music. I went back and I listened to a couple of other songs, and I remember the classic "Lift Every Voice and Sing," and the one collaboration you did with Freddie Jackson. I mean, it's timeless music, and when you look at the efforts that I know a lot of people need to make in music to be able to have something close to what you've accomplished. What is your opinion about certain songs or even certain, performances that you may see that, either need to be, tweaked or, that you say, hey, you know what, they're on the right path to be able to build their legacy?
Well, I can tell you, I'm sorry, you said to build a legacy, but one thing came to mind immediately that I just saw. I don't really watch the Oscars and so much entertainment because I'm too busy, I guess, trying to find out what God wants me to do.
Right.
My wardrobe designer designed he designs a lot for some of the Oscar recipients, and he designed Shirley Bassey's outfit, and he showed it to me, and I said, oh my God, that's how it's supposed to wind up. Before she opened her mouth, everybody was already screaming on their feet, okay? Because she looked delicious. She did not look like she was 19 years old. She looked like a beautiful queen that's healthy for a mature woman. That life has been maybe tough, but she's won. So I want to be like that, okay? And but other people who I think are doing fabulously well are certainly Beyonce. I think she's shown you that. She's a total entertainer, total businesswoman. She was brought into the industry by both her parents, and she's continuing to grow. Now she's become a mother and a wife, and as an artist, you see her continuing to grow. Mary J. Blige is one I think has done very, very well. In terms of growing as an artist, as a songwriter and performer. We've seen her come from just being a little girl and growing into a woman in terms of her style, her performance growth, her look. That's very important. I think the basic thing for an entertainer is beauty and talent. And, of course, that has to be with intelligence, not just sexy. And I think there are several people that I could think of if I took the time that I think are pretty tasteful and, titillating sometimes. You want to be sexy, but I still think you want to be in good taste. I think we have a lot of good examples and some pretty poor ones, too. But, I mean, it's a free country and it's a free industry, so, but it's some people think it's totally gone to the dogs. I certainly don't agree. I think with some of the male artists, One of my favorites is Usher. I don't
Okay.
keep up too much with them, but like a total entertainer. Like I really admire people who can stand up there and dance and sing and write
Mhm.
and keep up the tremendous amount of work and stamina that's required to be a total entertainer.
Right. I feel like this, Miss Moore. When it comes especially R&B music, it's just like you said. It's kind of painted a picture where it's like you don't have to give it to us all. Give us some imagination when it comes to certain things, either certain songs or even a certain outer appearance as well. You can just leave it up to us to figure out the rest, or we can make our guesses and things like that. And that's how I always felt about certain things with R&B and even certain songs from, different genres of music too. But it's, I always feel like you always have to, give us just enough and then make us guess, right?
Well, that's only true for those of us who like it like that. But the reason why you see so many different kinds of things out there is because there's an audience for it. So I would just tell you what I like.
That is very true,
I don't like
though. Good
tacky
point.
mess, but some people do, and some people don't have the ability to make the discernment. But they should have music too. So
Right. Agreed. Good point. Good point. Melba Moore is our guest on Branded After Dark, and a couple of quick questions before we let you go. And of course, her single, which is available right now, Love Is. Go to iTunes. Go get it. Go get it. Go get it. Now, I know a lot of people have been asking about, actually, all the people out there that's listening. You can actually go get it right now, and then you can go ahead and tweet Melba Moore on Twitter at Melba Moore1 to let her know you did get it. So
yes,
that'll be a
please.
good idea, right?
Yes, it would.
So, a lot of people, Ms. Moore, has been asking about, okay, well, you have the single out, so when is your new album coming? Is it coming this summer, in the summer?
Maybe the summer. The way it's progressing, I just put together a little, little epi disc for myself to see what I have. And I got some really, really, really great songs. I've decided to entitle the album Forevermore, Forever, Moore. And I had that song, which I think is absolutely great, and several others that just great, great, great R&B music. And I'm sure if I make it good R&B music, we're going to have some of these really famous and star DJs turn them into dance hits too. That started like with the disco era, but now like the jocks, the DJs have become real superstars all over the world. And so if you have music and it suits them, they take you into their genres. You have another opportunity to, again, get into different genres. I think that's good. I mean, in that way, things have sprouted and blossomed in terms of more being available to you.
And you were able to do that. You were able to tap into dance and, disco, I guess you could say, and R&B and, all those different types of things. And one quick thing I want to ask you as far as movies and Broadway, are we going to see you do anything on that level in the near future?
Well, another thing that has really blossomed, probably especially since Tyler Perry, is I'll call the African American saga or the original biographies, not just of famous people, but we're writing theater pieces. We're writing original pieces. I've got about 3 or 4 different scripts that I've committed to do that are very well written. They've already been up. They're paying me good money, and they're just in different areas of the country, especially like in the Bible Belt, because church people love to. You got to have a testimony. They want to know what Jesus did for you first. But I think out of that has spawned what we used to call the Chitlin Circuit or the gospel plays. But what they are really, if you think of it in secular terms, they are autobiographies. And we're having a spawning of theatrical pieces that are very good with original music because, everybody loves Broadway or they love the story or they have a story. And so our community theater is blossoming. So I've been doing a lot of things in that arena. But the answer to your question is yes. But I think what I'm enjoying right now, until I get my piece that I'm working on to take me back to Broadway and tour in my own piece, is I'm doing a lot of original works that kind of give me an idea of what else is going on in the black community theater, because we have to tell our stories wherever we take them. And
Absolutely.
Whenever we tell our stories or sing our songs we do like every other culture does. We do very, very, very well, and we also relate to the rest of the human family.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the route I'm going back to Broadway, I guess I'm trying to say.
And I'm looking forward to it all. And all you listeners out there, you can definitely make sure that you go and check out this young lady right here. And make sure you go ahead and check out melbamore.com and also go get the single. I've been saying it. I'll continue to say it. I'll continue to say it all the way up until the album, until I start telling people to go get the album forevermore when it drops too. And your support for not just calling in, but our support that we're going to show for you is something that I always feel like, you know, any radio station, be it if it's online or mainstream, should give you, because again, your legend is your legend. You have a legacy, and to me, for us that appreciate you, we have to do what we can to support you. So if you have a new project, we're gonna have to go grind for it, just like it's ours. You know, we have to own it just like it's ours, and we have to spread the word like it's ours. And I think that's a testament to your hard work. So.
It is yours, and really it's much, much appreciated here. And I feel like I'm very blessed to have come through this transitional stage where we really kind of understand on a grassroots level what people in radio and communications do to partner with us to get it out. Before, you know, it was up to a big company, and sometimes after you got to a certain point, like many of the artists didn't want to do radio, they didn't want to do the interviews. I think because, you know, they're so into their part of it, singing or whatever their part of it is, they kind of get cut off or selfish about what else it takes. It takes the accountant, it takes the lawyer, it takes the salesman, it takes the manager, it takes the agent, it takes the communicators, it takes everybody for us all to have what we need. So that's a long way of saying I appreciate you.
It takes a village to raise a child, and it also takes a village to push out great music like Melba Moore's music. So, so the village people that's listening right now, go get that single, because go show this young lady this support. And I thank you. And you have no idea. Like I said, I got into my fan mode, and you embraced it. So I appreciate it, because you have no idea the countless of times as far as songs that I've listened to throughout my lifetime. And the inspiration that I get from it, that, you know, you put a lot of things in me to be able to get me into doing what I do now, not just radio, but other ventures as well. And, you know, I get motivation from Melba Moore music. So, you know.
Great. I'm very happy.
Beautiful thing. So we're gonna continue to support it, and if there's anything you need from us as a station here, I'm only a phone call away.
Well, we'll be calling you.
All right. I thank you, Miss.
Thank you for listening to the #1 radio station for the people.